Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Batman 139. This is the beginning of a whole new arc. But let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tomo Morea, letters by Clayton Cowell. We also have a backup story, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Um, but let's talk about this new arc in this whole thing. We are done with the Gotham War. Batman Catwoman Gotham War has concluded as of last week. So we are at a new story arc. In this story arc, Batman versus the Joker, more brutal than ever. Following the cataclysmic events of the Gotham War, Batman finds himself completely isolated from his family, struggling to keep the rage of Surinar in check, but he can't stop because he's out there haunting the city, taunting the Dark Knight. The Joker is back, and the new Batman is ready to stop him once and for all. Mind Bomb begins. Oh man, I am so excited. Um, I really enjoyed the conclusion of Gotham War. I think it wasn't everything I was expecting, but I did enjoy what we were kind of provided with. I think the biggest idea that I'm really enjoying for this run is the idea of Surinar continuing to be part of in the background of Bruce's mind. And he refuses to believe, or at least to admit, that there's probably something wrong there. There's some issues going on with Surinar. He's driven everyone he cares about away from him, and at this point, I don't know if there's a way to come back. But let's take a look at some of the preview art because, of course, Jorge Jimenez, another outstanding issue. I hadn't really put together until more recently how good Jimenez is also at some more of these quiet transition scenes. I think his style is very well suited for those big action fights, the dynamic sequences, big movements, but also just like even here, Bruce coming in and a disguise, talking to his neighbor, little old lady, right? And then also intercutting some of these panels of the Batman, even just some transition panels here, like with this outline. Like all those little things really build the pacing of the story, and then we get back into it, and when we see Surinar, the little shades of him just constantly haunting Bruce, driving him to go in this new path, this new direction. Uh, it's been a long time since I've seen Bruce kind of with the buzz cut too, which is interesting. Definitely feels more of a militant type of Batman. And I just love, let me pull the art back up. I love this here as he opens the window and just comes right into this crime scene, where we know that the Joker has stroking in. So, yeah, I am very excited for the future of the story. I think Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez are just doing such a fantastic job teaming up. I think the backup story is also very fun. It's a little bit on the periphery of the main story, but it definitely brings um, it always brings a little bit more color into all that. I think one of the cool things is that we are seeing how Chip Zdarsky's The Knight is kind of starting to play a factor into this story, like in the main story, the backup story, like all that stuff. It's all kind of tying in together. So if you haven't read that 10, I think it's 10 issues. If you haven't read that 10 issue story, I would recommend you go check it out. It's a great standalone story of the retelling of Batman's years during training, but it really adds a lot of layers to what Chip Zdarsky's been building from the beginning when he took over. I think that was great. It was a great prelude. It almost reminds me of Scott Snyder setting up a little bit of a few things, maybe inadvertently, in his Detective Comics run leading up to him taking over Batman. So, very cool stuff. Of course, this is a Batman title, so it has some amazing looking variant covers. So, let me know which one you pick up in the comments. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Superman 78, The Metal Curtain #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this. So this is written by Robert Benditti with art by Gavin Gaudry, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Dave Lampier. Uh, Very cool that we are going back into this world. So these Superman 78 comics, for those that haven't read them, tied directly into the world of the films, right? These are little stories that happen either between films. I believe the first story took place between movies 1 and 2. This one might as well. I believe this one also might take place between movies 1 and 2. So yeah, very exciting stuff. In this issue, Robert Venditti returns to the Men of Steel for the Superman 78 sequel. When the planet Krypton exploded, its last son was rocketed across the cosmos and came to settle in a small town in Kansas. But what else came with him? What if a piece of his home landed somewhere we never knew about? As Superman has become the symbol of strength and pride for America, the Soviet Union looks to crush that image with a creation of their own, built by their own and forged by their own power. Robert Venditti returns to the Men of Steel with new artist Gavin Gaudry. Yeah, this is very exciting stuff. I think from the name of the story, you may have an inkling, but I won't go into details as to who Superman will be facing off here. I really enjoyed this story. I love revisiting this world. I think Robert Venditti has a really interesting point of view and take to tell stories that happen in the world of the films. The characters have that type of dialogue, so he's able to recapture the voices from the actors that portrayed them in the films and bring that same feeling. Also, Gavin Gaudry is a fantastic artist that really can capture the style of that world while still making it feel like a contemporary comic. Let's take a look at some of this preview art, and I can just imagine the uh, the special effects that would be to display these first opening pages. Right, we have the planet exploding, we have this meteor flying through space, and I just love how it this really looks like it would have been designed for a prop in the film, like this green rock that lands here, which I think it's really cool. Like it's just so much fun. It originally is supposed to feel like maybe that was Superman's rocket, but obviously it wasn't. Right? It's this meteorite, this green meteorite. We also have an intrepid reporter listening in Metropolis decades later. So I just love that transition. Even the color wash is so like it's such a great turn, and I'm very excited to see where this goes forward. Obviously, the first issue really sets things up. It really brings all the players on board, which it does very efficiently. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like it doesn't belong. It just all this stuff really lives in this world. So love revisiting these characters. I love that Gavin Gaudry doesn't feel like he has to. They don't have to be like photorealistic drawings of the actors, but there's enough there to really indicate that this is Christopher Reeves. Oh yeah, this is Margot Kidder. Like all those little things, those little details are very important in an adaptation, or I guess in a story that takes place in a different world like the movies. So very cool stuff. I'm glad DC is doing more of this stuff. I love them going back into their film and TV world because there's so many cool stories that we could still tell in those worlds. And it's really fun to keep them in people's mind that that they feel a little more current. Hopefully, this will invite a lot of people to revisit the old films, including people that maybe haven't done so in the past. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Birds of Prey #3. This is a new book from DC Comics. Very exciting stuff. We are trying to infiltrate Themyscira, so here we are. But let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Leonardo Romero, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Clem Cowell. What an all-star team we have in this book. In this issue, the first mission for the new team, Destination Themyscira. The covered first mission of the reformed Birds of Prey has established their beachhead in Themyscira. What could be so important to Black Canary that she'd risk the wrath of the greatest warriors on Earth? Now, I don't know exactly. One thing that I don't know is exactly where in the timeline this takes place, because there's a lot of stuff going on with Wonder Woman and Themyscira. So I don't know if this is something that I might have missed an editor's note, kind of explaining that. But regardless of that, I think this is still very fun. Um, I love the way that the team infiltrated the city, the island, and I just really love the dynamics. I think Kelly Thompson has a really fun grasp on the voices of all these characters, but not only that, also the interpersonal dynamics of this team. Everyone has different goals. Everyone works in different ways, and maybe everyone is here only out of a sense of duty, or maybe they all favor to Dinah. So not everybody has, like, the stakes are high, but not for everyone at the same level, which is really interesting. Of course, all this combined with Romero's fantastic art, like, I just love how the old school feel to it, the character designs, the coloring, like Jordi Belair really has. All this stuff is a heist, so it's happening at night. So we have these really toned down, washed out colors that I just really, really love. And they really complement Romero's art. So very good stuff. So speaking of that, let's take a look at some of the preview pages. Here we get to see a little bit of what's going on. We are given some clues as to uh, the vessel that needs to be provided. And of course, we get to see this horrific image of, like, this, Penelope uh, saying that the vessel is unworthy, which is really, really unnerving. And then we move on to seeing the team, all their shenanigans. I really like their stealth outfits. I love that they have to, like, they brought different outfits, different changes. They snuck in inside of the mouth of a megalodon, so that's really fun. Thank you, Nanawe. Uh, and yeah, we're getting ready for a fight. Right here, we see how they are sneaking in the mouth, like with the fishing net, and just, oh man, it's just so much fun. I do think it's interesting that Barda doesn't need the breathing apparatus. I mean, she is a new god, so of course that changes a lot of things of how they interact with the resources of Earth. But yeah, I just really like how the team is kind of working together and going along with this plan. But obviously, as with any cool heist, not everything goes according to plan, and the team has to elaborate and just try to make sure that things are happening in a way that they can at least control. And of course, what happens when Wonder Woman shows up? Because of course she's eventually going to show up. She's eventually going to find out. So it is so much fun. This book is really good. I'm really enjoying this Birds of Prey run with this all new different team, weird personalities, a different mission. This isn't even, it's not like they're fighting a villain here. It's like they're trying to rescue somebody that's important to somebody in the team. So yeah, so many high stakes, but more like personal stakes as opposed to like a world-ending threat, or some villains or criminals or whatever. So really cool that we are taking a different approach to a story like this. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Blue Beetle number 3. This is part 3 of the Scarab War. First of all, I love this cover. I love the video game feel of it, introducing a kind of a new character or a recurring character from the game that we hadn't really seen as part of the series. I love the designs of the Beetles in here. But let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Josh Trujillo, with art by Adrian Gutierrez, Gil Quintana on colors, letters by Lucas Gattoni. As I mentioned, this is part 3 of the Scarab War. In this issue, explore the secret history of Kajeda. After the recent attack, Jaime returns to the one person he knows who can decipher the mystical runes left by the Blood Scarab, Tracy 13. So if you're not very familiar, there's probably some books you can read to figure out who Tracy 13 is. But I think the team is very good at just kind of bringing you up to speed with a lot of this stuff. Now, can these X's work together and piece together the secret history of Kajida? Uh, well, let's get into it. Uh, I am really enjoying this arc. As much as I enjoyed Graduation Day, this feels like the team just has leveled up on like all fronts. They've and it makes sense because Graduation Day was kind of a reintroduction, whereas in this we are already familiar with the characters. We have a world that's been built out previously, and now we can really explore the mythology, all the characters around Blue Beetle, and I think Trujillo really captures a fun voice for Jaime, but also the people around him, including Tracy 13, who shows up in this issue. Um, Although we don't see much of the Blood Scarab in this one, I think it's still really fun and very interesting. All the ways that Jaime will go to, like all the lengths that he will go to, even revisiting, like calling his ex and seeking out help. We also have some really cool cameos that you'll see in some of the preview pages. So let's take a look at some of the preview art because Gutierrez's art is amazing. I love the style. I love the way he chooses to display panels. I love the way that we see here just how these very dynamic movements. I also wonder how we pick who we can populate here in the Oblivion War. We see Detective Chip, we see Frankenstein, of course we see Deadman over there, who's had quite a year. We see the Blue Devil as well, Blue Demon, and of course Madame Xanadu, who's there really to help. So yeah, this book, as you can see, it drops enough hints as to like this is who all these people are, and then also on the other side we see Starfire going to check in on. I love that as an alien herself, she goes in to check on other aliens that are taking refuge on Earth. I think that's really cool, and I just love the way that everyone does address that she is space royalty. I think that's really fun. I also love the way Gutierrez and Quintana do Firestar's. Yeah, her hair, Corey's hair, just big, long, flowing locks all over the place. That's very cool. I really enjoyed this issue. We are at a great point. We get to see a lot of really cool history, a lot of background on all the characters, and we need to learn and understand what's going on. I think there's a lot more than meets the eye just based on what based on this chapter, based on some of the variant covers. Maybe we are getting a few hints of what's to come in the future. I would love to see a large team of different colored beetles kind of come into play and team up. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All these scarabs, they're fighting now, but maybe they'll be forced to come together to fight a larger threat. I think that's a really fun trope to explore. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. If you have read this issue, let me know down in the comments. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.